Hello, Papercut here, back with another episode of AoE for School. In my role as a coach, I notice a lot of what holds players back is understanding of their opponent, or even understanding of the civ they are playing. Knowing the strengths and weaknesses and the goals of each civ really helps in both how you play and how you react to other people. Now, this is the knowledge that can come over a lot of games. My goal is to try to give it to you now. I'll be doing a breakdown of each civ with the goal that by the end of the video you have a clear understanding of what each civ wants to do and the best way to try to counter them. A secondary but also important goal to me is that you understand the thinking behind the strategies. The way people play the civs comes from the bonuses, strengths, and weaknesses of that civ, and understanding the thinking allows you to develop your own strategies as the meta eventually changes and patches come out and things like that. Before I jump in, I have an obligatory ask to please like and subscribe, as it is absolutely massive for a channel my size for that to happen to videos. I also have a coaching and community Discord I just started where I offer paid coaching, but there's also a lot of other ways to provide support. I have public replays, I have public free coaching, I have free replay reviews, things like that. I just want to try to help the community as much as I can. So today we're going to look into Order of the Dragon. Order of the Dragon is a civ that both fascinates me and frustrates me. It is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult civs to play because your margin for error is so slim. Each unit is so costly that a bad engagement is brutal. Every villager is a blow since they are worth so much eco and are slower to train. While the Order of the Dragon plays similar in ways to HRE, the uniqueness causes you to have to approach AoE 4 in a new way. Let's start first with the Order of the Dragon's bonuses and what playstyle that encourages. Let's focus on eco and defensive bonuses first, then move into unique military tech and units, and then finish off with strategy and playstyles. First, supercharged villagers. Order of the Dragon villas gain 28% quicker gathering, construct buildings 20% faster, and carry 40% more resources than a normal villager, but they cost 20% more to train, so 60 food, and take longer to train, 26 seconds. This also means that all eco upgrades are worth more on an Order of the Dragon villager, since they enhance the larger base stats more than an average villager. Emplacements in towers and keeps are 25% cheaper, and outposts have 25% more vision. Building within the influence of any Order of the Dragon town center, there's a gold hue on the ground, which can extend by building buildings near it, have emergency repairs, which is an ability on cooldown that heals a building for 150 health every second for 20 seconds, which is very strong. And lastly, the fourth eco bonus is relics. Relics can be placed in outposts and keeps, increasing their armor by 50%, damage by 35%, range by 25%, and line of sight by 25%, while also generating 80 gold per minute. You'll notice that, outside of villagers and relics, Order of the Dragon has no real eco bonuses. They lose the prelate inspiration that HRE has, except from the Aachen Chapel, but that's just 10%, and they have no unique eco upgrades. That means keeping your villagers alive and efficient is even more important for Order of the Dragon. Non-military bonuses. Overall, Order of the Dragon units outside of Siege are gilded versions of HRE units. This means they have more health, more damage, and for some units more armor, faster attack speed, and more range, but at a slower build time and being much more expensive. Overall, I would consider one Order of the Dragon unit worth about 1.6 or 1.7-ish of its normal counterpart. Not exactly double, but a good chunk stronger. Many Order of the Dragon military bonuses come from its feudal landmark, the Minework Palace. So we will start with military tech that are non-landmark specific, and then do landmark specific techs. In Castle, Spearmen can get heavy torches, a tech that allows area of effect damage to buildings. This is best used for Spearmen raids onto farms, allowing you to destroy chunks of farms quickly before the opponent realizes. In Castle, Gilded Archers can get a scale armor, which provides +3 ranged armor, making them really beefy against ranged enemy units. In Imperial, Gilded Knights can get War Horses, a tech that reduces incoming damage by 25% when the knight is charging. In Castle, in a monastery, you can research Inspired Warriors, which gives prelates the ability to inspire military units by giving them +1 armor and 15% more damage. As for Minework specific techs, in Feudal there's Golden Caress, which reduces damage by 25% for men at arms when they are at 30% or less health. In Castle there's the Zornhau, a tech that causes Lancerneck to get bleed damage that does 2 damage a second for 10 seconds. In Imperial there's Bodkin Pulse, which allows Gilded Crossbowmen to do +20 damage to siege. As for units, Men-at-Arms are available in Feudal. With the Golden Caress Minework upgrade, they are super tanky. Castle has Lancerneck, which are weak units that do massive AoE damage. Great to add into the mixed infantry comp to make them hard to snipe. While every civ has hand cannoneers, the Order of the Dragon ones are special, with greater attack speed and range. They are really good, but expensive at 240 food and 240 gold a pop. Let's go through strategies available for Order of the Dragon per age, based on landmark choice. Overall, before I dive in, I do want to give a philosophical mindset you should have when using Order of the Dragon. In my experience, OTD is an ultimate react civ, doing best by doing what your opponent is weakest against. That's because Order of the Dragon is slow. It's hard to adjust strategy on the fly with everything being so slow to make and expensive to create. If you fall behind, it's difficult to catch up, and a bad engagement leads to you struggling to replace army at a rate your opponent just doesn't. But if you do pick a good strategy for the opponent, you can feel oppressive and unkillable. To play Order of the Dragon, you'll need to be able to do 3 to 4 different strategies depending on the opponent or the map. As I break down strategies, I will name the civs and situations they are best for and why. Dark Age. If you want to enter Feudal fast, the build order is pretty simple. All 5 villas go to food. The first one out goes to gold and builds a house, then a mining camp. Next villa goes to food for a total of 6. Next 2 villas go to gold for 3 in total. Rally villas to straggler trees, age up when you get the resources. You need 3 villas on food to make villagers, though it can be a bit close, so 4 is safer and always ensures you make a villager. Order of the Dragon does have an effective Dark Age rush that is powerful if done well. Why do a Dark Age rush? Order of the Dragon struggles against civs that can mass units quickly, either because of a landmark bonus, such as English or French, or because of a civ bonus, Delhi with scholars, China with imperial officials, Ottoman with military schools. Order of the Dragon thus has a lot to gain from an effective rush that cuts off resources and slows down the unit spam, and creates space for you to either mass units or rush castle. Lastly, with stronger units and faster build speeds, Order of the Dragon can Spearman Rush that forces your opponent to build at least 2 spears in response if they want to stop it, and add a Tower Rush that comes up faster than the average tower. Let's talk though how to do it. I'll explain how to do a 2 Spearman Rush with a tower. You could of course cut this short and just do a Spearman if you want, if you don't want to commit as hard. You start with 2 villas on wood, 3 to food. Scout does a quick half circle near the base for sheep. First villager out builds a barracks and a house. Next villager to food for 4 on food. Next villa on wood for 3 on wood. Rally to food. Barracks makes spearmen. You want to time the scout to be back at the base once that spearman is done. The villa that built the house and the spearman heads towards the opponent with the scout leading. Depending on the opponent, pick the resource that is vital to cut off, usually either gold or the largest wood line. Some it's berries, such as China or Delhi, if the mill is next to it. Have villagers build a tower with spear defending. Once you have food, build a second spear so that your original spear can cut off another resource or make it harder for the opponent to burn down the tower. Once you have 8 villas on food and have gathered 50 more wood for a mining camp, send 3 villas from wood to gold. Rally new villas to wood or food depending on what you need. At this point, you have a lot of options. What affects these options are resource location. Have you cut off a lot of resources with your tower? Maybe it's Dry Arabia and the nearest golds are next to each other. In that case, you might want to hard commit to really cut off resources and keep it that way. What is your goal? Fast castle means you want to stop the rush early and get up. Feudal flight, you might make more towers and keep the pressure on. Based on these, you have 2 options once the tower is up. 1. Keep spearmen there to threaten and poke, return villager back to base and age up and go castle. 2. Keep the villa there and build more towers, age up and mass units and go for the kill. I'm warning you now. If you do not tower rush a lot, it will be hard at first and you will fail. But review what you did wrong, tinker with the build order and strat, and you can make it work. On to Feudal. Order of the Dragon suffers a lot because as a variant civ, their landmarks relate more to HRE needs than Order of the Dragon needs. I wish the devs would have given them a Zushi, Legacy, or Ayubid treatment and given them unique landmarks that fit their style, but I digress. Your options into Feudal. Minework. Acts as a blacksmith with upgrades that are 40% cheaper and research 40% faster. The other option is the Aachen Chapel. Gives a 10% gather rate buff and radius and is a resource drop-off point. Overall, the meta leans more Minework than Aachen, as Aachen buff is not good enough to justify losing out on the unique tech for your men-at-arms, Golden Churess. Minework also leans into the Order of the Dragon strength of buff units. Giving them upgrades quickly and cheaply makes them even more powerful, especially in early fights. I have found the only time I want to go Aachen is against Knight Civs, as I'm less likely to make men-at-arms, so I don't need the upgrade. If I'm going to have a more passive boom play style, then the extra eco is helpful, especially if we're going to second TC. Overall, Feudal is where you often make your first moves in your game plan, and how well you execute early has a huge effect on the rest of the game, even more so for Order of the Dragon since, as I said, everything is so slow. Here are the strategies I have found work for Order of the Dragon, and how you activate them in Feudal. Minework into Men-at-Arm Rush. The Order of the Dragon Men-at-Arm Rush is powerful. With Golden Churess and Arrow Defense, Men-at-Arms can exist under TCs basically forever, and archers can do basically no damage. You drop barracks right at the start of Feudal, get upgrades, and go into Men-at-Arms. I suggest after getting out 1 or 2, you start sending food villagers to Deer and Boar, as each Men-at-Arms costs 200 food, and getting those hunts really helps you get the food needed to continuously make them. As I've said, eco upgrades early and often are massive. I keep 3 to 4 villagers on gold entering Feudal to get both military upgrades, Golden Churess and Arrow Defense, Wheelbarrow, and survival techniques. Your goal is to go straight for villagers and hunt them, push them off resources. After your first push and they turtle into base, drop ramps and go for either damage when they transition to castle or go for the kill. This strategy is effective against civs without knights, or who want to fast castle or go 2TC, such as HRE, Abbasid, China early on, and somewhat Byzantines. They don't have a good counter to men-at-arms, and if they're fast casting, you can attack right when they enter castle age with rams and men-at-arms. Keep them off gold, kill villagers, and even if they get a few castle units out, your men-at-arms are so beefy they can stand toe-to-toe in small numbers. The strategy is bad against civs that have a quick unit production, or knights, as knights can take on men-at-arms, and if your opponent masses units, eventually your men-at-arms will be surrounded and will be out-damaged. Lastly, feel free to add in archers as your eco improves, as they are powerful and can snipe vills while your men-at-arms defend them. Your second strategy is a castle rush. This leans into Order of the Dragon's castle bonuses of relics and emplacements. When you enter Feudal, put a tower on your gold. I usually age up with 3 villagers, and have the age up vills do 1 round of stone gathering to get arrow slits. You can go mine work or Aachen for this, it's your preference. While up flanks, if they're easy to wall, you want to drop a barracks and get out spearmen or 2 if the opponent has knights. You then go 4 on wood for houses and buildings, 12 on food, and then rally to gold. Eventually you want 6 to 7 as you age up. You age up with the regnants and go from there. If your opponent pushes you, you can use emergency repairs to keep up the tower even without risking villagers. This is a powerful strat, as relics will give you a much needed gold boost that helps with upgrades and gold heavy comps. Putting them into towers allows you to survive defensively. A smart move is to gather stone on the age up and get up a couple towers to upgrade them to springald, and put relics in them, and they are basically snipers. Make sure you are scouting, so if you see your opponent doing an all-in feudal push, you need to make a few units to survive the age up. 2 Town Center. This leads into Order of the Dragon's bonus of strong vills. Getting out more vills will boost your economy more than your opponents, as villagers are the only units for Order of the Dragon that are 1 population supply, meaning if you have the same amount as your opponent, your eco will just be better. TCs also can last more under pressure because of emergency repairs. If you're going to TC, I like to go Aachen to get a boost either on stone or wood, and to get the TC just that much faster. As you start your age up, split vills between stone and food, leaving only 3 on food for villager production. You want 2 to 3 extra vills on wood compared to stone, since you need 400 food and 350 stone, and you're also still getting wood for houses and potential military buildings to protect that second TC. I often will age up with either 1 or 2 vills to focus completely on the second TC. Getting to feudal faster does not help me get a second TC, so it's no need to rush it. Try to get the TC up on a resource to protect them and secure them. If you are being pushed, it is okay to set up a safe one as to not waste time. After the second TC is down, it is your choice whether to fight feudal or rush castle. My suggestion is castle, since you can get relics and use that combined extra villagers and relics to have a strong economy. If you are able to get the upper hand though, flooding the map with men-at-arms using your increased eco can do well. You can do this strategy against any civ, but be prepared for a difficult fight against feudal aggro civs. If civs fast castle against you, you have a stronger unit and will be able to hold out a bit longer when you get to castle. Make sure you scout opponents so you know when your counter units to make. If they go knights, go spears. If they go men-at-arms, get your own men-at-arms out. They will hold up. Your options in castle. Castles where Order of the Dragon gets their first big boost. They unlock Landsknechts, which can do area effect damage, which is really effective against large armies. You can start gathering relics, which gives a huge gold boost and can help defense when put into towers. I would suggest castle is not your stopping point. Your goal is to almost always get to Imperial. Let's talk through why. As you enter castle, your choice of landmarks is clear. You have to go Regnant's Cathedral, as it allows you to start making prelates instantly and increase your gold from relics by 100%. It is the #1 way to boost your eco and secure an advantage. The other option is the Burgrave Palace, which allows you to build melee infantry really fast. The issue of this landmark is the cost. Order of the Dragon units are expensive, and while it sounds nice to get a lot out quickly, your castle eco will just not be able to sustain making units consistently. You're also losing the ability to get prelates out quickly, and the extra gold that you get from relics, which will last forever. I would suggest you never go Burgrave, even under pressure from opponents. While you can win games in castle just by doing normal actions, your best win chance is by going Imperial. The reason being is the Palace of Swabia, which costs less to build, only 960 gold and 1,920 food, so you can get to Imp faster. In our Imperial section, we'll talk about the bonuses this leads to. So for castle, your strategy is as follows. First, secure as many relics as possible. Your goal is to get 3 and create outposts to put them in, though you can put them in the Regnant's Cathedral if you need to. Your opponents will expect this, so if you're going to go far for a relic, be prepared to have a couple units go for your prelate. 2. As you get relics, move villagers to food from gold, as you will get all the gold you need for age up quickly from the relics. 3rd, scout your opponent and make sure you are making enough units to survive any push. 4. As you start your Swabia age up, put down towers, gather stone during the age up, and move relics into the new towers. Once you age up, get cannon emplacements in the towers with relics. This is an amazing defensive tool. If castle is extended, either because your opponent is fighting you or you see an opportunity to do damage, make sure you're doing the following. Secure resources with keeps, such as large gold deposits or choke points, and wall up your flanks, as cavalry raids become a lot more common in castle onward. A quick warning, the game does not tell you when you have enough resources for Swabia, only when you have enough resources for a normal Imperial landmark, so you're going to have to just be checking it yourself. Lastly, we're at Imperial. Imperial is where Order of the Dragon shines for two main reasons, the Palace of Swabia and hand cannoneers. Like Castle, I suggest you always go Palace of Swabia. It produces villagers at 200% speed and 66% reduced cost. This is a massive Order of the Dragon. As for the whole game, you're likely behind on villagers because they produce slower. This allows you to get up to an optimal 120 to 130 villagers, which at that point your economy will be enormous. The other Imperial landmark, the Elsbach Palace, is a good defensive landmark, but the Swabia is just so much better for your eco. You also unlock Gilded Hand Cannoneers, which has a very good range, massive damage, and faster attack speed than normal Hand Cannoneers. They are very expensive though, at 240 food and 240 gold, so you need to protect these units as remassing Gilded Hand Cannoneers is very expensive. This leads to a pretty straightforward strategy. First, go Palace of Swabia, defend until you hit at least 100 villagers. 2. Start making Hand Cannoneers, so a front line of spears. 3. Go 2 to 3 bombards. If your opponent starts massing Springalds or Culverins, switch to Horsemen to snipe siege and raid opponent. At that point, you slow push, protecting bombards, mowing down opponents with Hand Cannoneers. Use towers with relics in them to gain vision and defense. Some other tips. Make sure you build a lot of production and always have units queued. You will die if you are waiting on your slow production times while your opponent is quickly remassing. In Imperial, Order of the Dragon can run into a problem of, since their units cost extra population, that your opponent is just outmassing you. That happens, get a resource bank, then delete those to build up a larger army for a death push. Another way to slow down your opponent is to raid like crazy. Your army then is mostly defensive, buying time for either horsemen, 3 to 4 at a time, or Landsknecht, which can take out large groups of villagers quickly, to raid the opponent to hurt eco. With the changes to siege making Springalds and Culverins weaker, I lean towards making 3 to 4 bombards and using them to target other siege. If they have a massive siege ball, that's time to switch to horsemen and attack the siege, plus break off the raid. Lastly, if gold isn't issued, doing mass archers is still effective. By Imperial, they have a high damage and great range, and with scaled armor, they can take a lot of range damage from siege and other ranged units and still be standing. Match that with men at arms, so they only cost a little bit of gold to tank and protect the archers. Conclusion. Overall, Order of the Dragon is a civ for people who enjoy playing methodically and decisively. You have to be adaptable and make the right decisions based off scouting. You ought to be more defensive and following up on an opponent's mistakes, rather than being an all-out aggressor who sets the tone. Learning Order of the Dragon, in my opinion, will make you a more well-rounded player, as you need more of a grasp of a wider range of skills to make them work. If you're looking for a challenge, give them a go. Order of the Dragon can be played on any map, though they will struggle more in hybrid maps as they have no real water bonuses. Countering Order of the Dragon. To beat Order of the Dragon, your goal should be aggression. Cutting off their gold stops them from going castle. If they make units, they will burn through their starting sheep very quickly, so watch hunts, and if you can keep them off food, they will slow down pretty fast. You have to build counters to their units. Trying to meet them with the same units will just lead to losses. In Feudal, if they go men at arms, the goal is to just outmass them. Surrounding them with spears or horsemen will kill them. Lastly, raiding Order of the Dragon is more important than any other civ. Their villagers each are individually worth so much more that each villager kill is devastating to their eco. Overall, I hope that you've come away with a deeper understanding of Order of the Dragon and why they operate the way they do. Give it a shot, as it will help you become a more well-rounded and adaptable player, while also giving that feeling of crushing your enemy under your mighty Chad boots. As always, good luck on your games.